Here at NUTV Sports, we do a lot of talking about, what's going on right now in the season that's actually happening in sports. Tonight, we're actually going to take a deep dive into a topic we don't cover often. What do you do when your sport stops happening? When your team has played their last game, when the champion is crowned in your favorite sport, where do you go? We're going to explore it all tonight, and here to kick us off is Liv for what to do when your team maybe didn't have such a great season.
Hi, my name is Liv. The number one thing that you need to know about me is that most of my teams are pretty bad. They got passed down to me for the most part by my dad. I'm a Jets fan, obviously. I'm also a Rangers fan, so New York sports have put me through it. So I'm 22 years old. I've never seen a professional team that I root for win a championship. This does shape who I am as a person a little bit. It's fine, and I'm over it. When the Jets season is over, usually I watch the postseason with no rooting interest. It's very pleasant. Root against the Patriots pretty hard. And then I usually get really into how can we be better next season? So I'm like, give me as many quarterbacks as possible. I want 100 quarterbacks. I start to look at draft magazines, and I watch college football at odd hours of the night. So that landed us with Sam Darnold. So that's cool now. But for a while, that was sort of my MO. When the Rangers season is over, same thing. I'll just watch the rest, the whole entirety usually of the playoffs without any rooting interest, and I have a good time. Usually at that point, I'll start also looking at prospects. So that's good because that fills the time up real nice until the older people come back to also disappoint you. That's about it. I mostly just, watch teenagers get paid or not get paid doing what they love and hope that they will soon bring me a flash of joy in this world. And it usually doesn't work out, but for some reason every year I expect that it will. So one of these years I think I will probably be right.
So that was Liv with a brief, if slightly depressing, narration of what you can do when your team's season ends in a less than happy fashion. For our next installment, we're going to go over to Pearl, who has a happier segment for what to do when your team actually wins it all.
Hello, I'm Pearl, and I'm a DC sports fan. As of late, I've been really spoiled with championships, which is unlike anything that I had ever experienced throughout my entire sports fandom. I've had 3 teams win championships in the Capitals, the Mystics, and the Nationals, and each victory has been surreal. So what my former post-hockey routine would be falling back into baseball and using baseball as a band-aid over the summer until hockey came back, because most of the time I was always disappointed. So when the Capitals won the Stanley Cup, I did a lot of different things. I'd never experienced a post-championship season, never. So some of the things I did included crying while watching Alex Ovechkin lift the Stanley Cup. I've probably watched that video 100 times at this point, and it's just it's the type of video that just brings you so much joy when you watch it, and you just feel exactly how you can feel how Ovi felt being in the league for over 10 years and never winning the hardware. It's just a magical thing to see, and that really has moved me. I also spent hours on Twitter. If you went through my Twitter bookmarks, because I didn't want to like everything, you would see all these videos of the Caps, and it makes me so happy. And I think that one of the biggest things that you'll do after you win a championship, if your team ends their season that way, is try to enjoy it for as long as possible, because in sports you really never know when the next one will be. I've also been a Nationals fan for an insanely long time, and when the Capitals won the Stanley Cup, I had no idea that any DC team would follow it up right away. They surpassed everybody's expectations, just like the Capitals did in 2018. And it's so recent that I'm still enjoying every moment. It's just really, really magical. And I think that is the point I want to emphasize again. When your team wins a championship, all you want to do is remember it, savor the moment. Sports are always changing. You're never going to have the same team again. You're never going to have the same game outcome. Everything is going to be different. That's what I've done after these championship seasons have ended. And thankfully, they always end with more sports after. So that makes it easier if it's sad.
So that was Pearl talking about how to celebrate a championship. And now we're going to move on to Michael Henshaw, Sports Zone statistician, who is going to give us a little bit more of a advanced look at how we can process the end of a season.
What do you do in the offseason when the sports season ends? It's the same. To me, it's the same. I'll explain. I watch baseball all the time, obviously. It's the only sport I care about. But it's not the games that actually matter. Sports aren't real, so sort of all lost on me. What is real is the feeling when I know a lot about baseball statistics at such a level that it makes me feel like I'm, smart or better than other people. So the fact that I'm able to be smug about baseball statistics is the only reason I consume the media. So the off season, to me, I consume almost more baseball than I do during the season. The articles I read, the podcasts I listen to, the engagement I have with statistics and statistical thought about the sport, it's probably greater during the off season. It's rain or shine. It's a year-round thing. Being into sabermetrics, the only thing I really get anything out of is the stats.
Okay, that was Michael Henshaw. Seems to really love his numbers, and I mean, who can blame him? I know I always love doing math, especially when it gets in the way of sports. So one thing that people always tell you to do when your sports season ends is, just get into a new sport. Football ended, baseball's starting. It's time to just turn the page. And at first, it's exciting and new, and you get to, remember what that feels like, that optimism. And then eventually, as the season goes on, you realize you really this new sport is making you realize how much you miss your old one. Even if you are watching your new sport, are you really watching it? And it's just a tough place to be in as a fan, because then you start doing some self-reflection. You realize, wait a minute, every sports season I've ever watched has ended. And am I the common denominator in all of my sports seasons ending? Is it something I'm doing? When am I going to get my 52-week football season? Don't do that to yourself. And more importantly, don't do it to those poor football players. The injuries will be through the roof. What you do need to do is try to remain focused and committed to your new sport. You start realizing what it is you're missing with your new sport. And once you start projecting that onto baseball, once you start trying to find what's not there with baseball, you weren't meant to be a fan of it. Baseball's a fine sport. Some people like it. There's a lot of standing around and not moving. But ultimately, you just miss your old sport. And that's when you stop watching your new sport. And, well, that about does it. Look, we know your favorite team or your favorite sport season ending is not going to be an easy time. Change is hard, and when something that's such a big fixture in your life leaves it, there's going to be a lot of empty space to fill. And ultimately, all we wanted to do was help you fill that space, however you need to. Thanks for watching. We hope this was helpful.